And so these four problems we've known about for a very, very long time. And yet I do not think that this government, the government from David Cameron to your brother, to the Tory leadership candidates right now, frankly, have any idea I don't think they get it. I don't think they understand the magnitude of this problem.
But I can imagine Rishi Sunak saying, the budget for the NHS for 21-22 is 163 billion. We spend about the same on our healthcare system as other Western countries. It's not underfunded.
It is. It is.
Okay, prove it.
Prove it. Okay, so I want you and your listeners to just Google the Commonwealth Fund Healthcare Rankings 2014. Okay, there's reports from 10 years ago. Okay, that I love looking at and I love showing to people because guess which country had the number one ranked healthcare system in the entire world 10 years ago?
2014, you said.
Google 24. I think it's 2014 Commonwealth Fund. It's called Mirror Mirror.
Got it.
Is the name of the report, and there is and I've tweeted this before. There's a great chart that looks at the wealthy countries of the world, 11 wealthy countries, and shows their healthcare systems and shows their performance. The number one ranked healthcare system in the entire world at that time, 10 years ago,
was the UK.
Was the UK?
Yeah, I can see.
How you guys should be so proud of that. I come from, and what was the worst one?
Canada. No, the US. The US, which is privatized.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So I come from the worst healthcare system in the world, among wealthy countries. I have friends and family who have had to declare bankruptcy because of exorbitant medical bills. About I think something like 500,000 Americans annually have to declare bankruptcy because of their terrible medical bills. We don't want that kind of system. What we want is a commitment to the NHS. We don't want that kind of system. What we want is a commitment to the NHS, and it can be radical reform. We can have we can have a discussion about how we tackle the funding crisis, how we tackle the beds and staff and social care crisis.
How do you tackle?
We just need a government that takes it seriously.
Of course, but the GP who came on last night said, he said there are shortages across every single speciality in every single area of the NHS, from porters to ambulance men who are leaving because of the stress, and women, and paramedics, and orthopedic because the population is aging and everyone needs a hip transplant yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do you do about this? And he said, you should have done it 20 years ago.
Well, we should have done it 10 years ago. Okay. Because 10 years ago, the health system was in a much better place. And for the last 10 years, we have not had a plan for funding. We have not had a plan for staff. We have not had a plan for beds or social care. Every single year, we have a winter crisis. And every single year, we're sounding the alarms over and over and over again. We just need a government that actually listens.
I know, but this was my point, is that the alarm has been ringing for so long that government is now deaf to it.
Yes.
They just think, it's the NHS. It's a bottomless money pit. Doctors always saying...
It's not, though. It's the most efficient healthcare system in the entire world when we care for it, yeah.
Okay, so this is good, because what you're saying is you're countering the argument that's been put forward in this Telegraph column that we need to maybe have a health insurance system. Could we not have something like that? Would that relieve any pressure? No, because you can't create more staff with a health insurance.
You can't create more staff. You can't create more beds. All that's going to do is add more people into more intermediaries, more managers, frankly, who are going to take more and more money from the pockets of your listeners, from the pockets of patients, take more money out of their pockets and put it into profit for companies. We don't need more people in the NHS to extract more money from it. You guys should be so proud about the NHS, and I love the NHS because I come from the United States, where we deliver healthcare in the worst possible, most expensive way, and I feel like I'm living in the promised land of healthcare. We just need a government that actually cares about it. And so, look, there are no quick fixes to this, but what we can do in terms of staff, we are trying to recruit as fast as we can from abroad. There are huge ethical issues involved in that because we're taking doctors and nurses from other healthcare systems that are under-resourced. But look, I'll give you an example. I'm an international NHS doctor. I get, up until this month, I was being paid about £14 an hour. I had to pay £500 for my visa a couple of months ago for the next couple of years. I have colleagues of mine, nurses, who are having to pay over £10,000 for their indefinite leave to remain applications just to stay here and work in the NHS.
Seriously?
Seriously, I swear to you.
I cannot believe
those
that.
Barriers. Why are you removing those barriers?
Them.
Of course.
Visa waiver scheme. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Visa waiver scheme. Just look, like they did in France. They gave citizenship to all of the pandemic workers who kept the country running, who were immigrants to the country. That is an idea that would work very well.
Great idea.
Why not?
Great idea. Great idea.
So we need a plan for NHS training, which does take a decade, which does take a long time, of course. We need a plan to keep the NHS staff that are working here happy to work here and able to work here. And then also, if you look at pay right now, we've lost 30% of our pay in the last like 15 years. You can't expect to run a healthcare service when you don't have doctors and nurses. And so, and right now we have nursing colleagues that are visiting food banks. Like, that's, I can't express how wrong that is. And I'm sure that you and your listeners agree with that. We shouldn't be in this position right now.
Okay, well, let's boil this down, because I think you have come up with some very good ideas. Obviously, poaching overseas staff has its complications. It's not necessarily the right thing to do to take 20,000 nurses from Sri Lanka and India, which I know Steve Barclay is trying to do. But it definitely fills a gap here. So you think they should get citizenship, possibly, if they'd maybe do 5 years? And somebody like you shouldn't have to pay to remain and work in the NHS.
I did 2 volunteer tours on the COVID wards during the pandemic at pay that was worse than £14 an hour. And I just think that after, and I'm not the only one, there are nurses, there are cleaners, there are porters, there are people that make the NHS run who are immigrants to this country, who are proud to work here, proud to support the NHS, proud to take care of the good people of this country. And we're just asking for a little bit more support. And so it's not a crazy thing to offer us the permanence of staying here. I think that would be a wise thing. And we need a commitment from government to sit down with us, to sit down with the leaders in the NHS, to fix the major problems, because otherwise we're just doing the same thing over and over again, and patients are dying. And we're seeing, waiting lists explode. We're seeing, grandmothers and grandfathers waiting hours and hours for ambulances. This is a national emergency. This is a crisis, and this is a rudderless government right now. And I wish that we had somebody in charge that actually took it seriously.
Thank you very much indeed. That was Dr. Andrew Meyerson, NHS and A&E doctor in East London, who compared the NHS to his healthcare system back home. And he said we should be proud, as I am.